So how do people feel about what transpired the other, I guess 2 days in? Any any observations? Some people are not happy. I've noted that some people they're not happy about it. So and that's okay. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Go ahead, Kitty. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not going to ask for your forgiveness in advance. I'm just going to lay my case out.
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you
Yeah.
want to say.
I am cynical.
Cynical?
I've done 2 broadcasts now
Uh-huh.
on this subject, on the topic. Now, here is the first broadcast. Let me give you a description, and then if anybody has any questions about the details. This broadcast I did, I think it was yesterday morning, might have been day before yesterday. The title, A New Caretaker for Dominance of the Rich in the U.S. Today, we look at the latest twist in U.S. presidential politics from the standpoint of a strong middle class as the best measure of leadership. What is revealed is that since the Eisenhower administration, which ended in 1961, every election has brought forward a leader whose administration increased income inequality, what's called the Gini coefficient, resulting in wealth concentration and a shrinking middle class family structure in the nation. Can we expect this to change without a revolution? And based upon that Gini coefficient, I trust that we're all familiar with this as a measure, an index of wealth distribution and
keep going, Kitty. My mouse died, so I need to go get it back. Keep going.
All right. And anybody feel free at any point. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points that I made. Again, our measure of the value of that leadership is the middle class family structure, better or worse from them. And of the 13 presidencies since Eisenhower, it has only gone one direction: wealth concentration. And now we're seeing very definitively shrinking middle class. This results in 1, income concentration; 2, shrinking middle class; 3, widening wealth disparities; 4, erosion of security and social mobility; and 5, reduced opportunities for upward mobility. Now, it was really interesting because I pulled statistics on every presidency, and there was only one of these 13 presidents where the situation didn't get dramatically worse. And every presidency, it went up, the Gini index and the wealth concentration percentage went up, and most of them by 1% or 2%, but in a couple of them, it went up by as much as 3% in one year. Ronald Reagan was one of those instances where the wealth concentration went up very dramatically. Would anyone choose to guess of the last 13 presidencies, which one did not have such a dramatic increase of wealth concentration?
Jimmy Carter.
It increased.
Oh, okay.
Well, you said it didn't have such a dramatic. I was going to say Papa Bush.
No, his was one of the more dramatic, consistent increases.
Yeah.
Obama.
It was Bill Clinton.
President,
now, if you think about it, remember, Bill Clinton did the best to balance the federal budget and stop the increase of the debt. He actually had a slight surplus in the federal budget by the time he left. And let's not forget, Bill Clinton comes from humble roots.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of these were all kind of born with a silver foot in their mouth or silver spoon in their mouth, however you look at it. So that was one of the two programs. And again, it was very consistent. If anybody wants working notes on this, just send me an email and request it, and I'll show you the working notes. The most recent program I did on this subject was this morning. And this program was entitled, Don't Forget About Reparations in the 2024 elections. As the nation revs up for another national election exercise, as Blacks, we have to consider that we have the highest priorities that we demand be addressed. We must never forget that our situation in this nation's caste hierarchy was orchestrated over the course of centuries. We demand reparations. I referred to my book. Many of you, I hope you know about this book, The Repairing, Making Reparations Practical. And because the media is now giving Kamala Harris a facelift, I went back and I collected every public statement I could find she ever made on the subject of reparations. When she was a candidate in 2017 or 2016, her statements on reparations seemed to be more appealing, even though there was really never any commitment. Her best commitment that she ever made was supporting House Bill 40. And in most of her statements that I've seen, she always says, I support a study of reparations. And of course, we know that from the Honorable John Conyers, his attempt to get House Bill 40 passed for, what was it, 23 years. And now that Sheila Jackson has moved on to the realm of the ancestors, it looks like that effort may have ascended into the realm of the ancestors along with her.
Oh, also, and this is on another note, Keedy, the sister that was part of Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yes, she's now becoming an ancestor as well.
What was her name?
I wish I had that handy. I feel a little embarrassed that I don't have it handy.
Anyone? Well, it will come up. So yes, Sheila Jackson Lee, is it?
Yes.
And so her and the sister from Sweet Honey in the Rock.
She was the founder of the group and quite politically active.
Yes, yes. So we lost those two pretty close together. I wanna give somebody else. Thank you. You know what, Keedy, I was thinking that you were gonna come from that position, and don't take any offense when I said that position. You know, I'm just saying. It's all Babylon. Let me just tell you this. So you mentioned Bill Clinton. Hold on. Hold on just a second.
That same Bill Clinton.
This is Bill Clinton, and look who he's with. You know who this is? You know who?
That's George Wallace.
That's George Wallace.
And right. Who's the man holding George Wallace's hand?
Daddy Bush.
Daddy Bush.
Yeah.
And they look like they in some kind of backyard setting. Look, Bill Clinton looks young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're all together. You know, you think they're on opposite sides. Look at this picture. This is not a Photoshop. I've had this picture for like at least 15 years.
I keep telling people that they're together, that they eat in the same places, they go to the same places, they're the same parties.
Yes.
Come on, y'all. There's love there.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I would never say that Bill Clinton was a likable character from the perspective of a Pan-African. His bombing of the pharmaceutical factory in Sudan, the carpet bombing of Yugoslavia and the destruction of that group, and other offenses such as drug running through Mena, Arkansas, while he was governor, disqualify him. The only point that I was making was that this consistency in the concentration of wealth, of 13 of them, it was maybe a surprise that it didn't get as bad as fast under Clinton, but under the rest of them, it was very consistent. And President Barack Obama did not break that trend at all. In fact, coming out of the House finance debacle of 2008, when we had that significant recession, we recall how his government poured all this money into the banks, and we see what was the outcome of that. Those bankers took that money to the bank.
Yep.
Individually and not for the banking institution, but they pocketed the bank for their CEOs.
And just on another note, look at this old picture.
You ought to put that one up with a caption contest.
What would the caption be? What did you say?
Oh, I'll give away a free book for whoever wins that caption contest with at least 10 submissions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What are these
Who's
guys?
the lady between the two of them? That's not a lady.
I think somebody just won the caption contest.
That's Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton.
Who's the lady with the mustache?
I couldn't. My screen was kind of dark.
You didn't see the mustache.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah.
And look what's in Donald Trump's right hand. The lady with the mustache.
Yeah.
This is an incriminating picture.
You know, and again, this is not a Photoshop picture. I've had this picture a long time.
But you have to remember, Trump used to be a Democrat.
Yeah.
So they at that time they probably was not. They were just all in the same pot.
Yeah. You know, he was conning them about something. I'm sure. You know, he's a con man.
That's right.
So that's.
Now, were they all in the same pot or all in the same tub?
I don't know. Here's another one.
Kokiri.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, let me get back to. Okay, what do you all think about the whole Kamala?
Well, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Let's do one at a time. You know, show of hands, either you know, virtually or let me see. So let's. Who wants to go? Okay, Damani, go ahead. Oh, he's clapping. Are you clapping or raising your hand?
Oh yeah, I was gonna let Sebastian go first. Sebastian, go first.
Oh, and I was gonna let Sugar D go first.
Sugar D, go ahead. Go ahead, Sugar D. Go ahead. Take yourself off.
Well, I was just thinking about that whole thing, and I say and they've been passing around just to talk about reparations. The statement that she made about when someone asked her, does she believe in reparations, and she said, I'm not giving no one race, whatever, something like that. But that's been going around. Anyway, I say that we need to come to the table with some expectations from her. And I don't think that, you know, even though we're talking about we definitely don't want to vote for her per se because of we're afraid of Project 2025 or whatever. We just don't want Trump in there. We still need to hold her feet to the fire for our vote as Black, as African American people, Black people. We need to say, hey, you know, what's in it for us? Or these are the things that we would like to see happen, you know, for you to fight, you know, for us, you know, per se. I just don't think that we should just not have something, you know, some expectations for our vote, because we've already proven that our vote is definitely powerful. Look at how much money she raised within that short period of time. And I'm hearing even the white folks saying, hey, I'm voting for her, and how many voters, people that are now, volunteer for voters registrations and all that stuff. I mean, we still should, I say we should just not say, hey, because she's Black and we don't want him there. We really need to ask, say, hey, this is what we would need also for our vote. You want our vote, then this is what we would like to see happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Go, Sebastian, then Damani. Go ahead.
I concur with what you said, Sugar D, and we should always do that. It was done with Obama. But even as Emma was showing those pictures, and even as she made the comment about HR 40, it's politics. This is a system. And I don't care who you put in as the figurehead of this system, the system is going to spit out that product that Keedy, spoke about in his presentations. That's what the system does. We can hold them to the fire. They can make that promise, but the system is what drives it. It's not even a Republican. And what happens is that even with the white folks who are voting, they're getting played too. It's not even a racial thing. It is a power, and that upper crest of those who have the power and money, it's played out from when they went over to the homeland, and with that power, what they did to our ancestors in being able to, all of this stuff is part of that same stuff that was going on then. So Barbara Wilson laid all of that out in the blueprint for Black Power. And you have to have your own system. You can't hold their feet to the fire and expect them really to, honor your demands in their system.
And I definitely don't expect that at all, but we should at least say, hey, you want our vote, this is what's up, Oh, and no, I know that it's a game, and I truly believe, and I didn't want to come off like that, and I truly believe it's all a setup. It's all a plan. To me, all of it, the whole thing, that we're in the matrix and it's a plan, and this is what they want us to see and what they want us to know. I truly believe that this is a plan, and there's a price for the ticket. If she wins, there's a price for her ticket. Just like it was for Obama, there's a price for his ticket. Like you said, they ruled that they already know who's gonna be in that chair. They already know. But yeah, you're right. But I still say we should challenge that. Hey, still.
Oh no, I concur. I do, and it's the matter of Malcolm X says that the knife is in the back, the 12 inches is in there, and just because I pull it out 6, me and some brothers were having this conversation last night. Just because I pull it out 6 inches doesn't mean that I'm still not getting, experiencing some harm from the knife. I say there's a 12-inch knife and there's a 6-inch. We now are making the choice as to which one we want to get stabbed with. Because one of them is worse than the other. And that smaller one will at least give us a chance to try and maneuver in creating our own system.
All right. Brother Damani.
Well, it's all some good comments. I can't refute none of those comments. I got this book here, The Third Reconstruction. This book, one of them by Pernell Joseph and one of them by Reverend William Barber. I think what Biden did, I heard what Keedy say about the income inequality continues under any president. That means we're dealing with the oligarchs. We're still dealing with the system, like everyone's saying. And I believe what Sugar D said, we got to have a Black agenda. But I was thinking more of the line, what Biden did to me was remarkable. Moving into the Aquarian age, him stepping away showed the art of leadership. He's showing an unselfish he's showing an unselfishness that we haven't seen in our politics in a while. Would this make a difference? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But you know, it made me think about a film I seen by Michael Moore. Who do we invade next? He talked about the Nordic countries: Sweden, Switzerland, France, Italy, Norway, and all of these countries. Everybody has 8 weeks vacation. Everybody has free education, free holidays. They get paid for all the holidays. They get an extra month's pay on December.
Yeah.
Couples, when they get married, they have a honeymoon. They get paid for 2-week honeymoon. They get both for the couple, man and woman, both of them get 6 weeks off doing, you know, to have a baby, have a child. Both of them get maternity leave. And so those people vote to maintain a socialist democratic system. We haven't got there yet, but they vote to maintain a system of government that they put in place. And over there in Italy, for example, you have the store owners, the CEOs, the corporate owners, the whatever you call it. You have the employees and you have the consumers, and all of them are in a the consumer, the employees, and the owners. All of them are in a sacred relationship over there where all of them are valued. All of them are valued, and all of them benefit in the prosperity of the company and the prosperity of the nation. I think we can get there. I think we, you know, I brought up the third Reconstruction. And I think we can slowly move toward a socialist democratic society if we keep pushing. And one more thing, and I'll shut up. Our ancestors, the goal was always to destroy or to dismantle the infrastructure of white supremacy. To dismantle the infrastructure of white supremacy for future generations. So this thing is bigger than we are. I think we have to have a 50-year view of this thing beyond our, most of us ain't here no more. Anyway, that's enough out of me.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. And now, Minister Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. It's not really clear what to do about these things, but the high priority is the declining prospects for youth. That is the idea, like Kitty was saying, that we're still headed backwards. Incumbents are still seizing more and more and more of the economy to themselves, narrowing the funnel where money goes and increasing income disparities. So there's more and more of us struggling at the bottom and lots more money funneling its way to a narrower and narrower top. One of the guys who seems to at least be saying the right kinds of things is Scott Galloway. He's gotten all over YouTube talking about how really our educational processes are still very, very bad in terms of the economy. The idea that students graduate from college with 6-figure debt is just insane. It's far, far, far from what our parents and really what we face. So we haven't fixed that yet. And the idea that we're allowing incumbents to control others is still problematic. That is, we have these large states where, you know, the right only rules because they've sort of gerrymandered the districts or they've played games with the structure. And they don't really have a majority. They're just playing with the structure. So we haven't figured out how to fix that, how to change the rules so that those who would use their discretion to oppose majority rule, oppose real democracy, can really get away with that. We haven't fixed that yet. So we need to tackle that.
All right. Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. Go ahead, Kitty. Go ahead.
It almost sounds as if there were no way or no chance that we would have something to leverage into a position. I was really feeling what Queen Mother Sugar D was saying, and it reminds me to not talk about the problems unless I can spend more energy imagining viable solutions. Today, for the program, I was reading from my book, The Making Reparations Practical. And one of the chapters in this book is entitled Assets and Liabilities. And I think it's a very, very good exercise that each of us who would put our voices out here as a beacon of light to create a pathway to a new reality that we would be proud, as my brother said, to give to future generations, that we spend some time and readily talk about assets and liabilities based upon what we're seeing in this political arena and the fact that it's gone so far and we have become so weakened. I suggest we have one major leverage point, and it's probably the strongest leverage point that there is. I have often asked this question, and before I talk about that leverage point, let me ask the group, what would you do? What could we do with a $24 trillion line of credit? Does anybody want to respond to that? Now, I've asked this question many, many times, so don't think that I'm asking this question and they're not coming up with, what am I talking about? How do we make that real? Anybody want to respond? What would we do with a $24 trillion line of credit?
We would make things our own. We would have our own everything. We would be owners of our own banks, our own shops, our own everything. We make our own. We have our own city, our own police department, our own everything. I'm talking about we as a people, our own. There would be no old folks home. There will be none of any of that stuff. It would be just, the kids would be taught, medicine. It would be just a whole town, a whole city, whole world.
One or two more responses before
Anyone else?
I'll chime in.
Go ahead.
I haven't had anything to say. So, I was thinking about my niece who, she lost both her parents and she got a lot of money from insurance and everything else from both her mother and father, and insurance and IRAs and all kind of stuff, and maybe $200,000, and it just disappeared. It just got pissed away. And we wanted to hold it and give it to her a little bit at a time. Never mind all of that. The thing is I struggle with us having an infrastructure in place to handle something like $24 trillion. Before we look at, it's just like, is your house in order? It's like, are we taking responsibility for what's going on in our communities right now? Because we don't need anybody to do that for us. Like, we don't need somebody to come in and start, making us step up and take responsibility and things like that. And I feel like we have plenty of, work on our own to do, so that if we got something like $24 trillion, if, that's the example, we would have things in place. We'd have boards and cities and communities that have already started things up, and, we would have something in line, because we are going to make sure all our students go to school and they go to college free. And we're doing some sort of, helping them figure out where we have a need in our community, and balancing that with the gifts of the people that, as they come up, some like numbers, some are artists and creatives, some are, but to have something in place for our people to grow. We struggle all the time with, I don't want to get on the soapbox, or we struggle all the time with unity, with, being all these separate parts, you know, and we talk about like unifying with other churches even to be focused, and because we all believe in, you know, similar things, and even that is, you know, sort of a struggle for us. So I'm not very focused on what's going on externally, but I will say that I am definitely motivated on us starting to build our own, you know, sort of, the Black Wall Street didn't come from somebody else. Like we created that. We created that, and we didn't need anybody to help us do it. And so that level of responsibility is what I am looking for. So then what would money be? It would be like giving it to my niece. You'd be like, hi and bye, right? You know, because there's so much that's required to do a thing well and right. And I like to see unity. I would like to see us to be able to come together and be, you know, committed and all focused on the same thing. And I still feel like there's so many different directions and, oh, that's enough. Anyway, thanks.
No, you know, you said a lot of great things, and you're right, and thank you for the example of you know, within your family, and many of us have probably seen that in other situations before. I see. Are you going to? Did you want to say something, Sister Afua?
Yes, I just wanted to give thanks, you know, to all the comments that have been made. And I also, you know, wanted to say something about the fact that the people of African descent in the United Nations have pulled together for reparations as well. And so when we talk about reparations, we're talking about how life is in the United States. And a lot of our stuff from here in the United States is governed by and controlled by the Euro masses. And so it would be good, I think, if when we talk about reparations funding, that we look at what is happening worldwide, because the Caribbean population has done that as well. And if we have a global approach to reparations, then we look back at our ancestors who were taken from the continent. So when we want to build educational institutions, do we want to build them in the Caribbean and in Africa as well as in the United States? And do we want to make whatever exists more connected? And can we get land and opportunities, you know, in those other places with anything we receive, you know, through reparations? So I just think, you know, a broader perspective would help us in the future as well as the present. And it would connect us to a lot of the crazy stuff that has happened to us in the past.
Right. Kitty, can you hold your point? I see that Sebastian had raised his hand. Do you still want to come forward, and then Kitty?
Brother Kitty,
you know, your speaker isn't coming.
Okay, it muted. It dull, got real dull.
Yeah, better.
Okay, that's better. Yes.
To the question you pose is, we're with a little less than 14% of the U.S. population, and I don't know what Blacks as a whole produce in incomes, but have we come together with even that production to pool our monies together to create anything? So it would be great if we had those trillions that you were speaking, but we've got to have an already thought out structure and system by which that we don't end up like the sister was just now speaking with her niece's situation as a group. You know, you don't want to squander that. You want to be able to build on that. And
what are you thinking of? You know, I'm curious about what it is you're speaking that we have in place to, you know, there are countries out there that don't have that kind of that kind of money, but there are countries. I mean, they're working it.
I thought the question was, what would you do with it if you had it?
Yes.
Maybe I misread it.
Well, his question is profound because the question then becomes, well, where is it?
Yeah, that's true.
See, and I think that we're probably, I mean, our income potential that we're doing with our 13% is a lot of money. I don't know what that amount is, and you know, we still haven't.
Yeah, it's not impressive. I have the numbers: 3.06 million Black-owned businesses in the United States as of 2022 produce on average about $68,000 annually, which amounts to, put them all together, and that comes to about $200 billion in GDP for Black-owned businesses in America, 14.6% of the population. Meanwhile, our consumption is up to 1.8 trillion, which equates to for every $9 we spend, our businesses produce $1 of goods and services. That's an unsustainable equation. And
it's unsustainable, but let me ask you this. If that money that we were making circulated in a system that we have,
it's not going to happen.
Oh no,
it's impossible.
That's my point.
It's impossible. If you're spending $8 for what you supposedly need, even we know a bunch of that is excessive consumption, but your businesses only produce $1 of those 8, then a buyback program, a new Black Wall Street will never work. I'm trying to shift the paradigm. And I know we've had a little bit of topic drift. I want to put the question back on the table. What would you do with a $24 trillion line of credit? Well, I like the first response. I believe that was Sugar D, gave us a list of things that could be done, would be done. These all fit that list of what we call reparations. I'm with you on that, beloved. Here's what could be done. With a $24 trillion line of credit, we could start acting like the biggest corporations in the world. When they do capital investments, they do so by borrowing money from the system. So with a $24 trillion line of credit, one thing we could do is leverage that to purchase Apple Incorporated, market cap 2.8 trillion, Microsoft Corporation, market cap 2.5 trillion, Saudi Aramco, market cap 2 trillion, Alphabet, Google, market cap 1.7 trillion, and Amazon.com, market cap 1.5 trillion. We could purchase those 5 or duplicate them for $10 trillion. We got 14 trillion left over. So we could purchase
using U.S. funds, and we would be doing exactly what.
No. You're jumping ahead of me. With your permission, I would like to finish my idea.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah. Market capitalization is leveraged debt. That's what that is. And so what I'm talking about, leveraged debt. Underneath the soils of one African country alone, the Democratic Republic of Congo, lies $24 trillion of untapped natural resources.
Yeah.
The first African country to leverage their unused natural resources was Zimbabwe, with the creation of the Zim, a central bank digital currency, CBDC, backed by the nation's gold. As much as the West has hated Zimbabwe and done everything they can to ruin Zimbabwe's economy, they can't do it now because it's a gold standard. It's backed by the reality of Zimbabwe has more than their economy in gold reserves and untapped gold. Just by leveraging our positions as African people into a brilliantly cutting edge economic fintech structure, Africans, whoever leads this, could leverage the greatest wealth on the planet. Let me ask the question, all of you can answer this simultaneously. Which area of the planet controls at least 50% of 16 of the world's 31 strategic minerals and resources? Africa. I've calculated these numbers. Africa currently exports about $462 billion annually in natural resources. But just under the Congo alone lies $24 trillion of yet untapped. That's just one country out of 55. So what I have been working on for the long time are outside the box thinking strategies for where is our wealth on this planet. At least we should not be aware and verify everything I say. China is the most popular, second most populous nation now, second to India, with both about 1.4 billion people. Beyond that, the African continent and the African global diaspora, if we compare them to these two China, India, and their diasporas, which are about 50 million people in their global diasporas, our African global diaspora at 1.654 billion people is the largest population group of any people of a common ancestry on Earth. We're going to have to start thinking, stop thinking of being 14.6% of a nation of 340 million and start thinking of ourselves of being 1.654 billion of a planet of 8.2 billion people. We got leverage, we got clout, we just don't have the plan and the leadership.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm sorry to butt in. This is Mama Gina. Beautiful, beautiful. I love this. But I refer back to Sister Sawasiti, the unity of us as a people, and along with Sister Afua's Kiti, how can we get that together? That's been our issue from my standpoint. We can't even get a church next door.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, that's what I want. The how. The how.
Yeah. I have a book I've written called Kuchi-Chagalia Villages, a practical plan for self-determination. And on page 25 of that book, I have a formula on social engineering. It was created by, here, let me just grab it real quick because I don't want to talk too far off of what I can validate, by Professor Allen, James A. Allen of University of Virginia. And it appeared in the 1957 book, The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard. This 26 points in one paragraph is a formula for social engineering. And Brother Damani, don't tell me you're going to look it up and verify it. Would you give me the honor, Brother Damani, of reading that paragraph at the bottom of page 25 of Kuchi-Chagalia Villages?
Yes, sufficient financial backing. You talking about that one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sufficient financial backing for regular utilization of mass media constantly to communicate the desired objectives to the common man. New values can be deliberately created, disseminated, and adopted as personal and collective goals, highly desirable of achievement. Yeah.
The next paragraph on the following page.
But the concerted effort of the major social institutions, hold on just a minute. But the concerted effort of major social institutions, particularly the educational, recreational, and religious, must be enlisted with the ready cooperation of those in control of the mass media. By utilizing the various tested devices, our modern genius in advertising may alight upon simple phrases well organized in sequence and timing, and coordinated with other efforts geared to realize the grand design. But there are required a host of laborers with plenty of financial backing. Sociologist Philip J. Allen, University of Virginia.
Yeah. So that is a formula for social engineering. In the book Reparations or the Repairing, I list probably about another 5 hard formulas, including the formula from which Black Wall Street emerged in the first place. And the only way we could resurrect Black Wall Street is following that exact same 6-part formula once again. It could be done, but it requires plenty of laborers with plenty of sufficient financial backing. So that's kind of where we're stuck right now. The laborers that could pull this off are right now preparing to march out in the streets for the Democratic Party. And the financial backing that would pull this off, we're getting ready for another holiday shopping season. Last holiday shopping season, during 61 days of November and December, Blacks in America spent an average of $1,114 million a day in surplus spending above our yearly average. And we really don't have much to show for it in the aftermath.
Well, now that you've depressed us all.
No. I've inspired and fired 4 of you. I only need 4 of everybody listening to say, you know something? This is doable.
Well, I seems like I heard a couple of people say that, and some people are shaking their head. So let me just share here. We talked about this. I believe this book, Kujichagulia Village: Practical Plan for Self-Determination, and it is reasonably priced. You can get it for $10, or if you have a Kindle, for $4. Sorry I didn't go to your website, Kitty.
No need to apologize. Amazon will take their cut and then send me what's left over 2 months later. That's why we need to buy them. Or better yet, I don't want to buy it. I want to reverse engineer it and run it out of Nairobi.
And that's why we don't give you Blacks education. Here you are trying to be self-determined.
And no money. Education, no money, because y'all gonna do something with it.
I say, well, we do have land and we have brilliance. And guess who controls the demographic dividend for the next 100+ years on this planet? As Africans, we control it. As African Americans, we gave it away since 1973.
Zarita said African. So
she was absolutely right.
I just want to point that out. Zarita, were you going to say something else?
No.
No? Okay. Damani has his hand up. Go ahead.
I think Mama and Gina was going to say, and Sister Carol was going to say, Brother Keedy, was, to me, without culture is the most important thing, because we're not on the same page.
That's right.
Social engineering, the plan sounds great, but we don't even have identical worldview. Most African people are walking around, you ask them what worldview, what's your worldview? They don't know. For example, Marimba Ani said our worldview, we are, check it out now, we are spiritually unified whole. We are connected to each other. We have a holistic conception of reality. We think whole. The focus is on spirit and the God within.
I see.
And so without a, worldview guides our motivations. It guides our actions, right? And so I think worldview is very important, even knowing the Nguzo Saba. Like Rose, we had the Nguzo Saba, unity, Kukichagalia, Ujima. Most of our people don't even know those near. Most of our people ain't got no idea what near is. I know in your book, Social Engineering, on page 27, you go on to say, tragically, too many in our group members within the U.S. are clueless as to who are such luminary historians as Chief Anthony Dr. Cecil Williams, Drusilla Dungy, Houston, John Henry Clark, Theophil Obenga, Ida Van Seur, Anthony Broder, and Essa Hillett, John G. Jackson, J. Rogers, etc. And it worked so hard to give us a world history past record that we could be amazingly proud of. But most of our people still but I understand what you're saying with the mass communication. We're going to have to use mass communication and mass media to disseminate this information out. And so
Brother
it all
Damani,
comes together.
if I could build on what you're just saying,
Yeah,
which I agree with every word you said. You know, many of our people, especially when we talk about our younger people, because we really have to build this all for them to sustain. If you ask them, who are these great scholars that you just read a partial list of, they would pretty much not be able to give you much word on who they are. But if you ask them about who are the stars of Empire or Power or television shows, if you ask them about trivial pop culture, they will wax poetically. The reason they will wax poetically on that, because that has been deliberately disseminated, these new values that are in these pop culture shows. I'm just right now catching up on Empire. I refused to watch it a decade and a half ago when it came on. Now I'm watching it right now, just realizing why we are so messed up. And that one show, which had those a fantastic actor and actress and the crew, but it was unfortunately produced and directed by that degenerate Lee Daniels. And in the aftermath of Lee Daniels creating such a powerful magnet for our mental concentration, look at this problem we have now with gender dysphoria. You know what I'm saying? So we, the wise and esteemed elders of WOSEC, we have to step up and take primary responsibility for the chaos that we see in our culture, because most of us, myself included, are baby boomers, and the flip happened during my generation. The flip of the flip has got to happen. I'm not dying until we fix this problem.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. That's try to stay alive.
Well, you know my plan.
Yeah.
How many sit-ups?
Oh, by the way, for those of you that missed it, when we opened up, and I saw that Keedy had posted this. He had done 1,000 sit-ups last week, and I can't even fathom doing 100. All right, Bill, Minister Bill has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we are still groping for really powerful general mechanisms. Things like Wikipedia come to mind, where people actually are able to cooperate over a broad range in great detail. And I'm seeing very little of that now. And I think we still need to build on our strongest structures, which are still our churches. But it's not clear how to create unity in those spaces specifically, or how to reach out even from our universities. So there are those things, even the things that we see, Facebook, Wikipedia, TikTok, all the social media stuff, they show that there are possibilities, but we haven't yet figured out how to do those and make them work for us. Any suggestions or hints? The only thing that comes to mind right now is the History Makers has set up new infrastructure just in the last couple of decades, and that seems quite national and quite detailed and really very good.
Have you looked at what Nigeria is doing? They're reverse engineering all of those majors. They've reversed engineered Amazon. It's called Joomla. They've reversed Facebook. Right now, I can't recall what the name is, but literally, the Nigerians, one of the beautiful things about Nigerians is they have such confidence, such awesome confidence in themselves as individuals, families, as an educated class, as competitors in the world. The richest African man in the world is a Nigerian, Aliko Dangote. So I'm looking to Nigeria and other African countries as our big brothers And as powerful as Nigeria is, remember everybody, you hear me? I'm going to keep saying it. In 2027 will be the inauguration of the East African Federation. 8 to as many as 10 countries will formally federate a single state. It will then become the third most populous nation on earth. And it will be Africa's most recent superpower state.
So how do we create unity without controlling a government? Without controlling the resources in a way that national governments do?
Imitate the corporations. I mentioned Apple, Microsoft, Saudi Aramco, Alphabet, Amazon. They are truly I think the word is supranational. When a depression happens in the United States, they just move their assets around the planet and don't skip a beat. They are the new imperialists.
I just don't see how to connect those dots. I understand that those large corporations mainly start with very large funding. It's what the whole venture capital sector is about. It's not quite obvious how to bring Africans, especially Africans in the US, on board in a very, very general way without that kind of money and resources.
I already answered that. I hope somebody else picked that up.
Okay, we're having trouble remembering. Kitty, can you help us out?
Line of credit.
Oh, okay.
Which of those corporations, the big 5 I've mentioned in the world, which of them spends all of their assets and their capital on expansion? They're all, in fact, their market cap, isn't their market cap itself leveraged debt?
You're taking us to school economically.
This is what I do. I've been doing this for 23 years on LIB radio.
Yeah.
And do we talk about cultural economics as opposed to global economics?
Without culture, nothing we do will last. With culture.
Whose culture?
Yeah, African culture.
Okay.
Yeah, with culture, we took, and Imhotep backed me up on this. With culture, we took a funky beat, some thrown together speakers, and some singles, and we created reggae and unleashed reggae on the world with that musical beat, with that rhythm, with that style, with that fashion, with those linguistic patterns, and with the values and the spirituality. We rapidly created a culture that disseminated to the whole world. You could go to Thailand, walk down the street with a Bob Marley t-shirt on, and people would start singing the lyrics even though they couldn't speak English. Baba Imhotep, am I telling the truth?
Yes.
And how would we do that culturally?
Yes.
How would we do it? The formula for social engineering.
The economics. Culture.
The formula for social engineering. With culture, you have a unity of language. We're still asking ourselves, what is my name? With culture, we have the unity of spirituality. Whose God do we worship and what values does that God? It seems to me, I could be corrected, that this God we're worshiping is, what's the word, manna or mammon? Is money God. Look at the back of a US dollar bill. Let's see who are they worshiping? We could look at our traditions. What did we do on the farce called July, AKA the 4th of July? We could look at our historical perspective. We can share a common history, but have completely polar opposite views on what that history did. Culture is 6 axioms of culture. That's in the book, The Repairing. The 6 axioms are, no, that's in the book, Moving Beyond Racism. The 6 axioms are language, spirituality, traditions, historical perspective, values and morals, and logic way of thinking. Those are the 6 axioms of culture. We in this group could come up with a manifesto on those 6 cultural axioms, put the right amount of money behind it, go out, buy the 6-part partnership for collaboration, and in a certain amount of time, we can impose our culture on a very large group of people. You don't believe me? Christmas shopping season is about to come up. Watch what they do with cultural marketing and cultural signaling through mass media.
Thank you for bringing up Christmas.
Is that how we would develop economics?
Based
on those axioms?
The economics follows based upon the core of the plan. The best part of developing economics, I would say, that's what we call the 6 pillars of empire. I believe it begins with, and it's this simple. Number 1, you must have demographics to build an empire. That's numbers of people, and they're on a common theme. Culture becomes that common theme. Number 2, you must produce goods and resources, or goods and services from available natural resources. Number 3, you must produce what the group consumes. Number 4, you must produce surplus, overconsumption, selling the surplus, bringing wealth into the group. Number 4, you must expand your territory for your growing population, your growing industrial base, and you must provide absolute security over that expanded territory. And number 6 of the 6 pillars of empire, you must educate the next generation to inherit, sustain, and expand the grand enterprise of the group. I call that the 6 pillars of empire. That's from the Repairing.
And we would do all of that based on European languages and European concepts? We would base all of that on European languages and concepts?
Ultimately, the more we are using outsiders' cultural modalities, the more we're vulnerable, susceptible to having our long-term self-interest compromised. So therefore, from the position of African people, the continent is moving towards Swahili as an indigenous unifying language. We should follow that cue as best as possible. I myself have studied 3 African languages, Amharic, Tree, and Swahili, as well as Portuguese, French, and Spanish.
Can you speak Amharic? Can you speak Amharic?
I can be polite in Amharic now. I used to be able to say things like, I want to take the train to a certain village, but I don't like mosquitoes. But now the best I can do is when I walk into a restaurant, I know, of course, there is salam, salam. There's nuances in that, as well as indemnish or indemne. I can say greetings. And I can say, yeah, and I can say thank you. But right now, don't ask me that because my brain is on the Repairing.
So the Amharic structure or the Ethiopian structure for unity and building an international base, they seem to have done that. Would we use their model and would we develop Amharic?
Amharic is not an easy language for us to learn. Swahili will be easier to learn. And Amharic is really only confined to Ethiopia. They even have several other languages that dominate. I wouldn't suggest the Ethiopian language as a primary language for the majority of people, but for a security language, it might be one of the best because so few people outside of Ethiopia are really masters of it. But insofar as Ethiopia as a model of a group of people with a unifying, progressive, sustaining culture / civilization, they are a prime model for us all to follow.
And their economics.
Their economics follow their culture, isn't that true?
Yes, yes. So
an Ethiopian will be happy to do business. In fact, you go into Los Angeles or some of the other places, Washington, D.C., and the Ethiopians will all have their businesses, including several of the same business, on the same block, on the same street. That's cultural unity.
And owning the places that they live in.
There's a sister here in Sacramento that's trying to do the same thing. Her name is Zion. We would say it Zion, and she has the store I mean, she has the restaurant, the Queen of Sheba restaurant on Broadway, and she's doing a lot of things. She's even rallying people for reparations, you know. And actually, I'm going to have her to come and talk to us. She wants to come and talk to her. Her name is Zion Tedeschi.
That would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, Kitty, you mentioned Christmas. When I was little.
Oh.
That's you on the left or right?
Yeah. I didn't like Christmas. Obviously, I didn't like that. So not everybody is into it.
Well, we do have to recognize what happens during Christmas.
Yeah.
Our annual spending, I have been tallying these figures for 10 years in a row, and it increases about 3.4% per year. So this year, during the 61 days, it's expected to cross $70 billion unless there's another crisis like the pandemic. And in the larger 80 days from just before Halloween to mid-January, that figure last year was estimated at $88 billion over the course of 80 days. That's a lot of money for people who don't control any grocery store chains. You know, with just 2%, I was calculating this number a little bit earlier. If we're talking about $68.3 billion spent over the course of 61 days, with a mere 2% capture of that at $5 million a piece, we could have bought 2,732 full service supermarkets. 2,732 with just 2% capture of that. Then the natural question, and I know Bill's about ready to ask me that next tough question. I love you, brother. The natural question is, how do we capture 2% of our own consumption spending during 61 days?
Let me just point out, and you know, because we started out talking about you know, the change in political structure.
Mm-hmm.
On Sunday, 40,000 Black women on a call raised like $81 million in like 12 hours. And then the next day, the brothers, I think they actually raised more. And so, you know, what I was reading, they were saying that, you know, okay, why don't we spend that on ourselves? Why don't we spend that on, you know, producing infrastructure, et cetera? But the positive thing about that is it showed us that we can do it, and showed us one way that it can be done. So you know, 81 million in 12 hours. That's something. And I think it was just sisters saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't want Orange Jesus to be in the presidency. And so they said, you know, I'm gonna get behind, you know, so those AKA and you know, Divine Nines,
Divine Nine, yeah, the Divine Nine.
All those people got together. So you know, that's just giving us an example to what Kitty's referring to, what Bill is asking for, what Damani is at. You know, we're actually doing it now. We just gotta put it more towards for ourselves.
For what we need. My question again, when the book The Repairing came out, December 2016, of all of the 211 full service supermarket chains in the United States, a chain is 3 or more stores on the same ownership and leadership. Of the 211, Blacks owned 1. Calhoun's out of Montgomery, Alabama. They had 3 stores left out of their high of 15. Hispanics at that same time owned 23 full service supermarket chains. 6 months, 8 months after the book comes out, I find out that Greg Calhoun, the founder of Calhoun's, had died, and they were down to 2 stores left. That disqualified them from becoming a chain, being called a chain. Now, after that, we had 0. Meanwhile, when I went to update this data for the Fade to Black book, Hispanics had grown to 37 from 23 full service supermarket chains. And someone snuck up on me and surprised me and say, Black folks, do they include Nigerians? Then we have 1 or 2 supermarket chains in the United States, Nigerian owned. And I said, yes, they do include Nigerians. But the thing is that they were not marketing to African Americans. They expected no African American consumers to really shift their patterns away from the mainstream supermarket chains. So with that $81 plus maybe the same or larger sum, Baba, at $5 million a piece, doesn't that indicate that we could have bought, what, 150 million divided by 5? Wouldn't that be 30 grocery stores could have been bought with those 2 Zoom calls?
Sure. So Ross, they put in the chat that 44,000 Black women raised 1.5 million in 3 hours. Kamala raised 81 million in 24 hours.
Ooh, where did the rest of that money come from? Was it that gay guy who was a major contributor to Barack Obama's campaign out of Los Angeles? I can't remember his name right now.
No, those were individual. Those were people. Those were individual donations. Those were
not big corporate donors.
No.
The 81 million were just individual
donors,
individual monies.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that
like part of the Divine Nine. Yeah.
That is startling. That is startling. Hey, we got about 8 minutes left. What a wonderful discussion we're having. Of course, I want to thank Brother Keedy, but many of the questions and remarks and comments have been fantastic. I didn't know how this was going to go. Just so you know, I put an article that was written in Politico about Kamala Harris, and in that, so I wanted to get back to this, and we need to have a special time to talk about what Keedy is presenting, and we need to get more people on, and we need to actually give us more time to read your book on Kujichagulia, The Village Plan. I know I'm not saying the whole title right, but we need to do that. But regarding Kamala, I've been seeing some things that I think are really counterproductive, and many of the negative things that I'm seeing are coming from us. If you don't like her or you don't agree, just don't say anything. I mean, we don't have to run each other down. That's my point. But the reason why I want to go to this article, because see if I can find it now. Yeah. So I don't tell anybody how to vote. That's not what we're here for. I'm just telling you to vote. But for me personally, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris, and the reason is it's personal. It's personal because Kamala Harris honored my aunt at her graduation, when she graduated from Hastings Law School. She had my aunt Sheila, who was her first grade teacher. And okay, nobody knows that, but me. Okay, me and a couple other people. And then when I was talking to Sugar D, and I had found this article here. This is the article that I put in the chat. What Kamala Harris law school years reveal about her politics. And you know, her parents were activists. That's how they met. And to my surprise, oh yeah, they're saying here at Howard, she demonstrated in front of South African embassy. You know, somebody had defaced a Black History commemoration at Hastings Law School, and about 300 students got together, and Kamala addressed them. You know, so she has been an activist. Her way of thinking is to go inside the system to change what needs to be changed. That's her philosophy. Okay, believe it or not, that's fine. But the important thing to me personally, she included my aunt Sheila at her graduation with her mother. And she wrote about it, and she said, and it says, Kamala Harris right alongside her mother, center, and first grade teacher, Mrs. Wilson, after graduating law school. So you may not like her, you know, and I don't care, but I'm going to vote for her because she honored my aunt. All right. I know that's selfish. But it's personal. All right. So
I know a lot of people will vote for her for different reasons, but you know, I think she's going to get a large majority of votes from our people.
I think so. I think she is. Yeah.
No need to apologize, Baba Imhotep. You are a free-thinking man with a deep value system. We respect your decision to do your will based upon your intentionality.
Yeah, Ashay, I'm going to vote for her as well. I have some, and I'm not going to get out. And as Minister has said, I have some. She's not getting my money. She will be the next first biracial president and first woman president. That's going to happen.
It'll be the second biracial president. No, there was some other ones had some in the woodpile.
That's true. That's true. But
yeah, Jay Rogers. What was that? The five Negro presidents? Or
yeah,
something?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let me restate that. She'll be the second acknowledged.
Yeah. There you go.
President and first woman.
Hey, listen, it's 6:29. Keedy, you're such an excellent host and presenter. I'm glad you joined us today. So many great comments. I want to say happy belated birthday to Henry and Mama Afua. Next week, we're not going to be meeting. And I want you all to send a birthday card to Mama Zarita. It's her birthday next week. So all right, yeah, that's it, Sebastian. Let me spotlight you. Yeah, that's it. The 5 Negro presidents. Yeah.
I just like to say it's the year of the ballot or the bullet. Y'all check out Malcolm X speech. The bullet, we already had the bullet. So now we got to have the ballot.
Yeah. All right. Well, one love, one heart, one God, one aim, one destiny. See you next month.
Live up.
everybody made such a great contribution. Mama Ngina, you don't usually speak, but you came in.
Mhm.
Saraswati, that was great. Afua, Damani, you're always such a thinking person.
This was a very, very good session. Thank you,
Yes.
Brother Keith, and all the other participants.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So live up.
And lastly, I just put the link to my daily webcast. You can go through my archives. Just look through the titles. I get some great titles on the Rumble page. And I invite you all, not only listen, but when you're listening live, participate.
All right. All right.
And
Brandon.
when we meet week after next, what will the topic be?
Don't know.
Okay. All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Live up.
All right. Take care.